Oh, hello everyone. Thought I'd do a second video. I released my last one last week, just covering some of my collection, as well as some of my future battle plans for Battle Reports Narrative Crusade. I'm going to be listing off the Crusade force that I will be using for my Astra Militarum Cadian force that I hope to start in the next couple months. It's going to be, as I stated last week, pretty troop heavy. But we'll read that off in a second. I was also thinking, because I haven't really played 10th edition in quite a while, to knock the rust off and to kind of get just the flow of the game going again for a better product down the line. I'm probably going to do a battle of Crimson Fists versus Tyrannid. So, you know, again, riding off the coattails of Space Marine 2. Anyone who's joining the hobby now is probably going to know the Ultramarines pretty well from Titus. But my force has always been the Crimson Fists. So I put together a little group of Crimson Fists, and I have a pretty cool battle plan that's going to be set forward for that. Again, I don't really play traditional battles, so this is going to be a 725 to 750 point Crimson Fist army versus wave after wave after wave of Tyrannid. I don't know if it's going to be see how long the Crimson Fists can last against the waves, because then there's not really any kind of goal for the game. But I may do a 5 to 7 turns. There's either a couple of civilians or a civilian that's within some kind of bunker system, or I don't know, a facility that has to be withdrawn from it. So what I usually do with those kind of battles is I'll have a transport that comes in at the end of the 5th or 7th turn, and then if that individual or those individuals are still alive, they kind of get extracted. Or it could be a comms system is down, and to be able to get a message out to the rest of the Crimson Fleet chapter or whoever's floating around in space that there's a Tyrannid force that's imminent. Maybe that's the comm system is down, and it's going to take 5 to 7 turns to get that thing back on. And if they have one Crimson Fist remaining, or if I do use any of my little extra models, if any of those individuals are remaining, then they win the battle. And then of course, if the Tyrannid destroy everybody and everything, they win. So that's going to probably be in the next few weeks. I think it takes a little while to get all my terrain out and get it all set up, but I'd love to have just a good battle under my belt that's pretty straightforward, so I can get some good narrative and Crusade play out for you guys. So I will list off my Cadian force for future battles in Crusade narrative, but first I'll show you guys the Crimson Fist force that I have planned for that battle, and I'll show you guys some more of my collection as well. You guys saw it was in my 2 cabinets here to each side. These are kind of my showcased military armies, and then I also have a couple in my white cabinets too. What you guys have not seen yet is my entire 30K, so I'm not going to open up every single box, but I'll show you guys what's there. I also hope in the future it might be down the line, because it's very different battle play. I'll probably have some 30K missions too. Another thing that I love to do with part of the hobby, and something that I have done previous, if you guys have seen on my Instagram, is like a massive 12 by 6 foot table. And I set up a diorama, because a game that size would take months to play. So I'm thinking maybe in the winter or early spring, I'd set up something in my garage where I would have multiple 6x4 tables out there. And I'd love to do just like different pieces of the Horus Heresy. So if you guys know the books and the lore, Camba Diaz's last stand against the world leaders on the bridge would be one section. Then I'd have Rogel Dorn taking on Fulgrim, transfigured or whatever, when he turns into the big creature, is another set. I'd have Jagatai Khan versus Mortarion in another area when the White Scars took on the Death Guard, and just have this massive table set up from different pieces of the Horus Heresy. I think it'd be very cool. That's going to take a while to set up, but it's something I would love to do, and that would literally be just, here it is, not going to play anything, just like a big diorama piece, and give you guys some shots of all of that. But some 30K battles would be cool. It's a little more old school rules. If you guys played like 2nd, 3rd, 4th edition, when tanks still had armor on them as opposed to saves, or not saves, but wounds, things like that. So the penetration and stuff is more important. And just, it's, I don't know, I don't want to say it's simpler rules in 30K, it's not, but it hasn't been changed as many times as 40K. So I'll probably do a battle of that in the future as well, but that would be with some buddies. It's tough to play 30K by itself. The narrative one that I do want to set up for you guys, which is going to be the Cadian down the line, I am going to be playing probably single player. Might have some buddies over if we do a Crusade part. And the first mission in that is probably going to be against Death Guard, but I was thinking as well a pretty sweet Tyranid mission, so I might do that also against my Cadian. But first things first, I want to show you guys my Crimson Fists that are going to be taking on this massive Tyranid swarm in the next coming weeks, and get that battle out for you and knock off some of the rust for 10k so I can do some better narrative Crusade stuff in the future. So I'll show you guys my Crimson Fists first, and then I will cover what force I'm going to be bringing into the narrative Crusade as my Cadians. And if you guys want to, let me know what you think of that, that'd be great. And then after that, I'll show you the rest of my collection in the back, show you guys some of my terrain. I've been collecting terrain for years as well. Good old light gray matte spray paint from Walmart for it used to be $10 a can in Canada, now it's like 15. The inflation's been insane, but just do that base coat. I'll show you guys all that in a sec. But yeah, anyways, Crimson Fist first. Let's stick to one thing at a time. Crimson Fists. All right, so I'm back behind the camera. These are going to be my two officer / warlord characters for that battle that's going to be coming up. So I completed my Crimson Fist Terminator Captain. Again, I've started using the contrast paints, and they are absolutely incredible for speed of painting. And then I've used the regular layer paints after that. But there is my Terminator Captain. His name is Acastus, which is pulled right from the Imperial Fists Crimson Fist supplement codex from back in the day. So he is a support captain for 10th or 11th company, something like that. But he's going to be my warlord for this one, and I'm hoping that he's going to hold his own, because he's going to have a lot of weight to pull for this next coming mission. The second in charge, our 2IC, is going to be this lieutenant model. So again, he's got the Power Fist, contrast painted up. And he's probably going to be leading my intercessor squad. We'll see how I break that down, but I'm going to have to set up some kind of strategy that's best to take out swarms and swarms of Tyranid. My Norn assimilator that you guys saw last time is still standing there. He will probably be in the final wave of that Tyranid attack, and he might be the one that's going to be taking on this captain if they're both still alive, so we'll see what happens. To support them, I got some Terminator models recently, just painted them up as well. These are Crimson Fist, so I have them all with Crimson Power Fist. I chose a heavy flamer, and in the past I've done it for a few models where you do the magnets, like the magnets, and you can pull the arms off and on. But I was thinking for Tyranid Swarms, heavy flamer is probably pretty good for that, especially if I'm taking on Hormagaunts and Termagants in the first couple steps. But there are my 5 Terminators. I'll bring you guys over to my table here. So this is kind of where I do, oh yeah, Pickle Rick's in the background there too. We got tons, my wife and I are huge nerds, so lots of pop figures, and there's Space Marine again too. I've been playing it, finally beat Inferno, if you guys were wondering. It was tough, but I did it as a sniper actually. Made a Raven Guard sniper and he did great. So I have some Hormagaunts that are also getting put together right now. They're pretty much done, so I'm going to be giving them the White Scar spray paint job, and then I usually just do purple. I make my Tyranid really quick, just because there's so many of them and they die so quickly, so I don't put a ton of effort in to the paint jobs, but you'll see some of them when I get some of the rest of my collection in the back. So a couple things that I'll also have to do before I get that battle going. I got a new box of Primaris Intercessors that I'm going to be putting together and then painting as Crimson Fists once again. I don't know if I'm going to make them a veteran squad or just keep them regular. I think I might keep them regular, but we'll see. And then also a pack of Stern Guard veterans. So my 725 to 750 points for the Crimson Fist is going to be made up of these guys, Stern Guard and Veteran Squad. Load them out with a Power Fist, of course, as well. Primaris Intercessors that are going to probably have auto bolt rifles to, again, kind of cut down that big swarm, get as many shots in as I can. And then my Terminator Captain and my Terminator Lieutenant. There's Bob Ross looking at us too. He's great. Oh yeah, and Bub from Day of the Dead. He always gives me a salute while I'm painting away. It's pretty great. So yeah, my Terminators here are going to be part of that 725, 750, and then my Terminator Captain, my Lieutenant, and then up here, as you guys saw last week in my shelf of Crimson Fists, I'm going to be bringing in the Ballistus Dreadnought as well, with the double las cannon and missile launcher, and I'm hoping that that's going to start to pick apart some of the stronger models like the Norn Assimilator, and again, that's if the Dreadnought's still alive. So I'm going to take you guys into the back now and show you my terrain for some of that battle, and here we go. Alright, so here we are in my back room storage room. So you guys can see shelves and shelves of terrain. There's a lot of the Nachman stuff in here. Again, that good old light gray spray paint. I've got some third-party sets too, so some Gothic Ruins from, I don't remember who the vendor is online, but very affordable. That's just black spray paint with the light gray kind of spattered on to make it look like the ruins are charred and whatever else. In here is going to be a lot of the terrain for that upcoming battle. My Crimson Fists versus Tyrannid is all aquarium plants. So if you guys are looking at doing a sick like jungle battle, I used to love to do Catachin versus Tyrannid based off that story from way back in the day. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the original Codex Tyrannid book, but it had a squad of 10 Catachin going through the bush, and a lictor hunts them down and kills them one at a time. It's one of the best ever. I think I might actually have it down here. I have a lot of my old school books, my old Codex books down here. I think, yeah, maybe I'll bring that out another day because I don't want to burn through the video too much looking for it. And then I have a ton of my White Dwarfs. Another one in there is the good old stand at Glazer's Creek, which I'll probably be doing as part of my narrative crusade with my Cadian against Orc. Here's some more of my terrain here. Amazing stuff. More armies and stuff in these boxes too. So my main Tyrannid force is in here. I'll pull them out in a second, show you guys. They're just kind of all mishmashed in a box right now. A little bit more terrain over here, some mountains and stuff, and then I have even more of my Imperial Guard Cadian in here. Older models, but my Tempestus Scions are in there. My batteries, like my artillery pieces, are in here too for the ordnance batteries and that, which I'm not using anymore because of the new rules. God awful. Some Attilan Rough Riders, another 10 person section of Cadian down here. This is all my Orc stuff. So I have Knobs and Tank Bustas in here. I have my Orc Boys in their own case. You guys probably can't see this too well, but it's a box full of Orc Boys, old edition and new. So I have the old school like box of Orc Boys and the new ones that came out recently. Here's a lot of my Orc vehicles. So I've got like a souped up old school Rhino tank with a bunch of Snotlings on it. I don't know if you guys remember Snotlings, but they're in there. I have Def Coptas. I have more boys in there. Yeah, I have a lot of Orcs, so I'm going to definitely bring that. This is all my Imperial Guard and Cadian tanks. So I have Basilisk in there. Oh yeah, the Griffin I mentioned last week. Let's see if I can pull him out. There's a Chimera. Where is my Griffin? That's an old Hellhound at the bottom. There's my Basilisk. I don't want to snap off any antenna. Yeah, here it is here. Bring it out for you guys. I don't want to snap off any antenna. So, I don't know if Games Workshop has this planned or not, but it'd be really cool to see this tank come back out. So, just put it on here where you guys can see a little bit better in the light. This is an old school, the Griffin Cadian tank. So, I used to have it in the old school kind of like forest jade green color with the black, and I switched it out for the more recent Cadian. But you can see the models on the back here are they're kind of older school Cadian models. It's out of focus right now, but there they are. So they have the old flak armor on, and it was pretty much like a mortar that was on the back of a tank. That one there is again from like 95 or 96. I'm gonna put it back and I'll show you guys some of my 30k stuff. Be right back. And so at the very bottom again, this is just my last shelf of this unit. I have all of my Orc vehicles, so trucks in here. I have the Def Rolla, I've got my Def Dread, everything's in here. And Gaskell is in the corner there. There's Gaskell Traka. So, alright. Move over here. I'm not going to pull all these out because this would take forever, but this is my 30k here, so I have it all boxed up. I'd love to put them out. There's just not enough space in my basement. I have armies in each one of these boxes, as well as like specialist characters. So my 30k collection, I just started getting Sons of Horus. I didn't have them because they were just kind of like the main enemy force, so I wanted to do my own thing. And I got a lot of Iron Warriors to start off. I also have a ton of Death Guard. Emperor's Children, so pretty much any Traitor Legion I have that was involved in the heresy as their own models. And then on the Allied side, I have a few Ultramarines because they didn't really make it till the end. Spoiler alert. But I have my Imperial Fists as my main army. I have White Scars, Dark Angels, and Blood Angels. And with that, I also have all of the Primarchs of those because they were on Terra when the Horus Heresy was happening, so I did that. There's even more down here, so there's full armies in there, and you guys can see, like, each of these was pretty much a full Age of Darkness box. I think I might have got a box of used models, so I've got a lot of models. It's a bit of an obsession, an addiction that took off hardcore during COVID because I really couldn't do anything else. None of us could in Canada, so I went out of control, but I've got it under control a little bit more, and I want to do more battling now as opposed to the collecting painting, but that's always been very near and dear to my heart. So yeah, that is a bit of my 30K. Showed you guys some of my terrain, and now we're going to head back out, and I'm going to talk about the loadout for my narrative and Crusade with my Acadian. Thanks. Alrighty, so we're back. I just wanted to really show you guys that because I want to make sure that I'm producing some like really high quality battles. I'm gonna hope to do some really nice cinematic like special effects and stuff as well if I can, like dimmed lights, and I don't think I'll be able to do like little bolt fire coming out of each bolt gun or las gun or whatever, but I'll do the best I can to make the battles pretty cool. I know battle reports can run sometimes pretty long, and I want mine to be nice and tight and just shorter and more, quality over quantity. So I'm just going to read off, and I'm probably going to give you guys slides as I go through this on the computer so you can see it better. But the loadout, or the army I've put together for my narrative crusade for the 555th Acadian Charlie Company. It is a 1,000-point limit as per the new rules. I have not used any of my requisition points yet, as I like to save that until the end of the battle to see if I can remedy any battle scars, stuff like that. But I may use 1 or 2 experience or requisition points to get a few more troops in to start. The first battle I have planned is against the Death Guard, and las guns going up against Plague Marines is not very good, and I don't have too much punch other than my Kasserkin units and maybe my Sentinels and Hellhounds. But we'll see what kind of force I put out for the Death Guard. I usually double up the enemy force, and I always have rules that are involved, so it's not a head-on-head bash. It's going to be like get these civilians out to a transport ship, or move them from point A to point B to safety, whatever it might be. So we're going to see if they can pull that off. Last time I did that against the Khorne Berserkers, and they did well, but there was only I think only my Castellan survived to get the guys out to the Arvis Lighter to get them off the planet. So we'll see what Death Guard does, and again, las guns en masse against Plague Marines. We'll see. But yeah, my loadout, my force is going to be my Castellan. So he's running in at 45 points. My Commissar is 30 points, Command Squad 65, 2 Kasserkin squads at 110 points each, and then I have 4 10-man sections of Cadian. I did not want to do 20-man with 1 sergeant because I want to have those 4 sergeants, 1 leading each section, to have a little bit more ability to maybe do some hand-to-hand with their chain sword or power sword, whatever I've given them. I forget what my sections have, but we'll figure that when we get to the day. I have 2 Sentinels. I'm not sure what weapon loadout I'm going to use, as I have multiple Armored Sentinel models. I think I have 3 or 4. So I know I've got one with an autocannon, plasma cannon. I think there's a las cannon maybe. So I'm going to have to see what I think is going to do the best for not just the Plague Marines and the Death Guard for that first mission, but what's going to be able to take on other forces as well, like Gene Stealer Cultists, Tyrannid, other Chaos models, things like that. So I'll look at that before going to the battle, and I'll try to get a plan together. And then I have 2 Hellhound tanks, which have the I don't use a heavy flamer. I use the Melta Cannon, which doesn't have the best shots, but it's super powerful. So if I am taking on any armored heavy models, I'm hoping that it'll melt them down. And then last but not least, a Preacher. So I'm gonna probably have that Preacher attached to a Kasserkin squad and my Commissar attached to another. I'm gonna have to see again what kind of strategy I want to come in with. And the way I play this is I use strategy for my allied force, so the Cadian are actually going to have some strategy involved to try to get them out of that mission. And then my Plague Marine, Death Guard, or any other enemy force that's coming in is literally just going to be out there to kill. So they'll be coming up. I'm still going to, I'm going to be rolling for them, so luck is going to play into it as well. But it should be really interesting to see how my Cadian take on the Death Guard in that first mission. And again, before that, I am going to do kind of a Rust knockoff game of a small Crimson Fist 725, 750 point army versus what could be like a 3,000 point Tyranid army. I forgot to show you guys that too. I'll show you my Tyranid in a sec. Alright, so I forgot to show you guys my Tyranid models, and the video is kind of going to be spliced a bit, but this is my bigger Tyranid model box here. So I've got the Screamer Killer, several Carnifex, there's my Swarm Lord in there and other larger models, and then in here is all of my little guys. So this is my Termagants, Hormagaunts. I've got some bigger models in there too at the bottom, some Carnifex as well, old One Eyes in there. But this is what's going to be going up against that Crimson Fist Marine, I don't know, army. It's not really an army, it's like 750 points, but this is where I'm going to be pulling those from. And on the battlefield with all that sick aquarium plantage, foliage, it's going to be pretty awesome. So very excited to get that to you guys in the next couple weeks. Going to glue and paint up the rest of my Crimson Fists and my Hormagaunts that are going to be joining the table. And we'll get that going, and that's going to be my first battle report to knock off the rust. But thank you guys for watching. I've actually had some views on the first video, which was super cool. Some questions came in too, which is also awesome. So if you guys have any questions for the way that I do my gameplay, I usually play single player. I don't have somebody else coming in to help all the time or to play the force against me. So it's kind of fun. It's a lot of rolling by yourself, but you can, use your 2 different colored dice sets and see how it goes. So if you guys have any questions or kind of want to give me an idea as to what loadout to use or whatever, who to bring in with requisition points in the future, let me know. And hopefully the next few weeks we'll get that video to you guys that's Crimson Fists versus Tyranid. Bye for now.